Hello everybody and welcome to round 5 of the 2022 GP4 Formula E Offline Championship. At long last we're finally here after a week delay. We are here at the Circuito do Estoril in Portugal for the midway point of the season, the second race in Portugal for Formula E this season. I'm JW97 and I'm joined today by the recently retired Blake Moore.
Good afternoon everybody. Welcome to Estoril. I'm actually excited for this Lisbon ePrix here today, Joe.
Indeed so, because it has been a while since we commentated. You even pointed it out. I think it's been, well, last time we commentated was actually the back end of last year, really, for the season finale. And ironically enough, from what I remember, we actually did commentate this race last season, so it's kind of come full circle, really.
Yes, that I kind of find that a bit vague and a bit funny. So let's see how these Formula E drivers can cope with Estoril again, because we know what happened last time. Last one was a bit chaotic.
It was indeed, especially in the wet conditions, of course. I remember Michael Mocho getting beached over at turn at number 3. Hopefully that doesn't happen again this time, but you never know, of course. This track is quite friendly when it comes to overtakes, specifically down onto the pit straight as well, and especially this corner can provide a bit of a challenge because it's very easy to understeer off and head off into the barriers really and end your race. So that's obviously going to be something to keep an eye on, whether the drivers can keep their nerve through into that first corner there.
Indeed. And especially curve 2 and curve 3 could be an absolute car killer if you get your corner wrong, and parabolic interior could be another killer and another good overtaking place on the first lap, or a person had made a mistake.
Indeed so, as the first car on track, of course, is Bracchi in the Venturi. Of course, Venturi having a bit of a decent season, it's fair to say, since becoming a Group 2 team. And Bracchi, safe to say, having a very good first year in Formula E. And it also seems that Coach Chung Cheong is also having quite a good year in that car as well. They'll be looking to continue that momentum here at Estoril. Of course, we need to rewind, of course, back to, 3 weeks ago, in fact, to the last race, which was at Portimao, the other Portuguese circuit, where Brandon Jackson took his first win as an Audi driver. Audi finally get a victory on the board in 2022 after so far not having the best of seasons, best starts of the season so far for the reigning champions. But Jackson finally, you could say, righting the wrong at Portimao after what has been a tricky start for Audi.
I can agree with that. Let's start this lap. So, as we start the lap with Bracchi on board, so make sure you go down the pit straight into, as you're going to turn very, very hard right through curve 1. Trying to be careful on the curve 2. Just trying to keep that momentum into curve 3. Just be careful to not trying to lose the car around curve 3, because it can be an absolute car killer. Just ask Michael Marshall last year. And then into curve VIP. Just keep up the momentum when you had for the last corner, and then there's this long straight. Just use as much battery if you can in these cars. And then go flat through here, and then going into Parabolica interior, another overtaking spot and another corner you need to get right perfectly. I think Bartos is hugging in the inside curve. That's good. But you need to be careful on that, because if you take too much, you're in the wall. And here we go into Orahilla. It's a little corner. You need to get that right before going up the hill into Tanque. It's just a flat corner up the hill, and then you go down the hill into the S's. And it's a 101.984 for Bartos Bracchi, and then through Balabaca Edson Sana. If you want to overtake, you need to have a really good exit out that corner, and then use much of the curb on the left hand side. As Bartos Bracchi crosses the line, it's a 122 as the base time, and that's the lap around Estoril.
It is indeed, of course. So many circuits being called, having a name of Parabolica, of course. Estoril being one, Monza being another, and even Hockenheim has one. And I do believe as well there's another circuit out there that's got a Parabolica corner somewhere, but I couldn't remember what it was from when somebody mentioned it. But anyway, we saw Kumar there going 5 tenths up on Bracchi in the middle sector. Let's see what the Indian driver is able to do. He crosses the line, goes quickest by nearly a second. Expected really, given he's in a Jaguar. Adventure though, 8 tenths off him in the Mercedes. DeCelli across the line, he goes second, 4 tenths off in the Nissan there. Here comes Rafael Demal in the Virgin. He now crosses the line. He goes into 5th, 1.4 seconds of a Jaswant Kumar. Here comes Robert Ionescu, desperate to try and get a good result here at Estoril. He goes second, just under a tenth behind Jaswant Kumar there. Marvo Koenig and the Andretti, he's going to cross the line now then, and he goes into 5th. Cohen goes 8th, got a little bit of slipstream there from the Andretti. 4th for Carpenter, 3rd for the championship leader Stepnica there. Of course, Stepnica still yet to win a race this season, but he's currently the championship leader at the moment. Currently in 3rd, Ionescu splitting the 2 Jaguars. 11th for Neuville, Coach Chun Cheong goes into 9th there, Cass Morgan goes into 12th, and they are the first ones done with, because of course only 13 cars go out at a time, and it is Jaswant Kumar currently at the top. And so far this season, Jaguar having a very, very impressive season in 2022. And of course, with the rookie Stepnica currently leading the Drivers' Championship. Whether he can hold on to it, though, is another question. Because, as mentioned, Blake, he's still yet to win a race in GP4 OC.
Yeah, at the moment he is still trying to find his feet into the series. But consistency is key. Just ask Aaron Curtis. In Formula 2, consistency is absolutely key. Even means you don't win a race.
And Julius Anderson also took that advice a few seasons before Curtis, of course, in 2016 over in DTM when he won that championship, of course. We might as well mention as well, whilst we wait for the next runs to happen, of course. For anybody who hasn't seen, of course, the 2023 Top Class sign-ups have officially opened. They opened yesterday at 10 p.m. BST, and already we've got a number of sign-ups as expected when the sign-ups usually open. And, of course, they will be open until, let's not forget, they'll be open until this Saturday, of course, at 10 p.m. BST, where at the same time, of course, the Formula 2 sign-ups will officially open at that time. And then also a day later, of course, we will have the 2023 provisional calendar reveal for the Top Class. That announcement, apart from Blake, who mentioned this before we went on the air a little bit, that announcement, from what I saw on Discord, kind of went under the radar a little bit, given that I think the sign-ups were the most important talking point out of all of that. But yeah, the provisional calendar for the Top Class will be revealed this Sunday at 7 p.m. BST, so do look for that. Of course, I do know what the calendar looks like, because of course I'm the one that made the video, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to wait until Sunday to find that one out. So anyway, as so far, as mentioned, Kumar currently at the top of the timing sheets at the moment. Obviously, we've only had 13 cars do a lap, and be fascinated to see who's going to go out first. Of course, we are obviously expecting the 9 cars who haven't done a lap so far to go out on track as well. But whoever joins them, the other 4 that joins them, will have to obviously wait and see. As a Neo spawns in the garage there, it'll probably have to be, I would imagine it's going to be Neuville's teammate, in fact Jacob Tobler, because he hasn't done a lap yet. But we will wait then for some movement to happen in the pit lane, of course, as we still have just over 23 minutes to go in the session. Brandon Jackson, the man who won last time out at Portimao, he's going to be coming out on track soon. Now 5th in the Drivers' Championship, 17 points behind Jacob Stepnica, so he's still got a bit of a mountain to climb. Same for his teammate Robert Ionescu, who I think retired last time out at Portimao, and is looking to bounce back, really. I think he retired. I'll quickly double check that on my other notes.
Yes.
He did, didn't he? Yes, he did. He retired from the last race at Portimao. I think Robert would have probably corrected me in the stream chat anyway. But anyway, back to the action. Kochi Cheong in the second Andretti is going out on track first. And so far, Andretti, despite the fact that they are a Group 2 team, they have done pretty decently, despite the fact that they've gone backwards in terms of performance. Both Kochi Cheong and, of course, Marvo Koenig doing the best they can with the equipment they've got, but they have been, despite being a Group 2 car this season, Blake, they have caused a few surprises during qualifying.
I think yeah, they did. I think I would say that Andretti is still trying to keep this consistency throughout the season, but I would say that they can literally can chuck an entire spanner into the works of the Group 2 Group 1 teams. So Andretti's doing pretty well.
I meant the last race, Hyan. I didn't mean last season's race. No, I'm not talking to you, Blake. I was talking about Hyan in the stream chat, because I think he seemed to think that I was talking about last season's race, about last season's winner. No, I was talking about the last race that happened 3 weeks ago at Portimao. That was Brandon Jackson that won that race. But anyway, Kochi Cheong now then, he's just coming around the Parabolica, the one of many Parabolicas around the world, it's fair to say, as Kochi Cheong is about to start his lap. There's still a few cars in the pits, but of course the majority of them will stay there, of course, as the other 9 who haven't done a lap are just about to start their lap. But Kochi's already done that as he makes his way down towards turn 1. As mentioned a little bit earlier on, very easy to go off the track there, especially in the race, especially if you're battling very hard with somebody. You can very easily understeer off, given the bumps that are right in the middle of that corner. corner through into turn 3. He basically chucked the car in through into there, really, given how wide it is. As now he approaches turn 4 on the racetrack. Around this long super left-hander he goes, and he's 47,000 up on Kumar in the first sector. So a very strong first sector for Kochi Cheong in the Andretti now then, as he now goes flat through this little kink now then, which goes around the paddock here at Estoril, where all the trucks are usually parked. As now Kochi just goes around the left-hander as a bit of a banked corner. I remember last season as well, there was a bit of an incident that happened here last season, which involved somebody getting a time penalty at the end of the race, or a grid penalty from what I remember. I think it was actually Jake Tilsley, if I'm not mistaken, that caused a little bit of an incident through into that corner when we commentated here last season, Blake. But anyway, up the hill goes Kochi. Is he still going to be purple in the middle sector? No, he's not. He's lost a little bit of time in the middle sector, but still only 800s off of Kumar. But I think if he keeps that up, he'll probably end up probably behind Stepnica at the moment. So I don't think he'll get into the top 3. He might do, but I think it's going to be a little bit tight. Let's see what the Malaysian driver could do as he powers his way out of the final corner, and onto the pit straight he will go. Across the line goes Cheong, and he goes into 4th position, so pretty much what I predicted there. Sana Choi across the line goes into 4th, and she's obviously having a bit of a run in that car so far. Nguyen crosses the line, goes 7th, not bad considering the Porsche was a Group 3 car this season. Ross Denholm across the line, he will go in the Nissan, and he goes into 8th position. Brandon Jackson, the man who won last time out of Portimao, he's going to come across the line, and he goes into 5th position there, so a little bit off his teammate at the moment. Here's the current pole sitter Kumar, who's not up on his personal best and doesn't improve on that 1 minute 21.293 he did. Leighton Aviard crosses the line, goes into 14th, over a second off of Kumar there. Bella Neuville and the two Neos are basically slipstreaming each other. 14th for Neuville, 15th for teammate Tobler. Kwan across the line goes into 18th. Raz in the last car to get onto the timing screen now. Then there's the Indonesian driver in the Mercedes, crosses the line and goes into 8th position, exactly 5 tenths behind Kumar there, as Cesar Cohen Jr. is now going to cross the line, and he goes 21st at the moment, gets in front of teammate Cass Morgan at the moment, as now we look at Jacob Stepnica in the Jaguar as he comes onto the pit straight, and across the line he goes, and he goes quickest by 2 tenths of a second, a 1 minute 21.037, and it is now a Jaguar 1-2 in this qualifying session.
Yeah, that was a really good lap by Stepnica. So at the moment, Kumar and Stepnica are 1 and 2. I think this is at the moment is looking in Jaguar's favour here.
At the moment it is, but we've still got just under 19 minutes to go in this session, so things can still change, but so far it's looking pretty good for the Jaguars so far in this session. Shana Choi, a shout out to her really, getting up in 4th place in the Group 2 Virgin, and so it'll be very fascinating to see if she can hold on to that or not, but so far in a very good position. Teammate Dumel Rao currently down in 20th, so Dumel not having the pace of Choi at this stage of qualifying. Now going though, a good job from him in the Group 3 Porsche to be in 9th position, as his teammate Aviard is currently 17th at this stage, so 8 places ahead of his English teammate, as Nguyen now then gets wheeled back into the garage now then in the Porsche, as the Vietnamese driver will be looking to get back out there a little bit later on, as just looking around to see if anybody's tied on lap time, which they aren't. Everybody's on a different lap time on the leaderboard, as the two Neos head back into the pits after basically just slipstreaming each other throughout the entirety of that run there. 15th and 16th for the Neos, so currently locking out row 8 so far in this qualifying session. But yeah, so far then, it seems that the top 10 are currently under a second behind the pole sitter. Everybody outside the top 10 is just over a second at this point, as Neuville gets wheeled back into the garage really. But really, we're at the halfway point in the season, as mentioned, of course, and for a lot of drivers, Blake, because we've only got, including this race, 5 races to go, it's basically crunch time really in the championship.
Yeah, at the moment. Wait, what?
I said in the middle of the season, because we've got 5 races to go, you could essentially say some people may think it's crunch time.
Like 5 seconds.
Alright, I'll ask that question in a little bit. But yeah, as mentioned, it is crunch time at the moment, because 5 races to go, really, given it is only a 9-race championship, given the timing on year's end. But Daniel Adventure in the Mercedes is just coming out onto the racetrack now then, as he makes his way down into the first couple of corners. The Mercedes not having the best session so far, being in 8th and 12th. So they'll be looking to see if they can improve that as best as possible, as Adventure through into turn number 3 there. He will go, as the German now then making his way into the left-hander. Also on the track we have Ko Chun Cheong as well, and also Dominic Tuccelli has also joined the Mercedes out on the racetrack as well, as he blasts through the flat-out right-hander now then on the racetrack, as Adventure now then will approach the banked left-hander pretty soon now then, as he flips it in. Through that left-hander he goes. You get a tad bit of curb on the inside and also on the outside as well. Quite a lot of it, in fact, as now Adventure down towards this right-hander, which you'd be fooled to fit. You'd be understandable for thinking if that's a hairpin, but it actually isn't. If you look on the mini-map there, through the right-hander, of course, there's sadly no version of Estoril which has the Ayrton Senna chicane, so obviously we have to make do with this one, but I think it's safe to say that everybody prefers this layout of Estoril anyway. So, now then, Adventure through into the final turn. We will go now then. We're just under over 16 minutes to go, as Adventure is now going to start his lap. And it looks like there is still a few cars that need to come out onto the pit lane, but it looks like Adventure, thankfully, is not going to get held up by any traffic whatsoever, as the Mercedes now then blasts through the first corner now then. Maybe a little lift of acceleration. Through turn 2 he goes. This is basically flat out, using all the curb on the outside as possible, as he now make their way up towards turn number 3 on the racetrack. As now up towards the curve VIP of turn 4. And let's see what his first sector is like, as he's 17 thousandths off of Stepnica in the first sector and 1/10 up on his personal best. And whether he can keep that up in the last 2 sectors, we shall wait and see. Flat out through the flat out right hand kink here, which goes around the paddock, as now heading towards well, in fact, this is also a Parabolica corner here. The Parabolica interior, as it's known as. So, 2 corners around this track being known as Parabolica. All the curve in the world as possible out of the turn. Now heading down towards the Orella corner now then. As now a little dip down through the hill. Not using a lot of curb on the exit. Let's see what Adventure's middle sector is going to look like compared to Jacob Stepnica. And he's up on Stepnica in the middle sector. He's now gone purple. 54 thousandths up in the middle sector. So let's see if Adventure from 12 can actually go to the top of the timing sheets now then. Around the Parabolica Ayrton Senna now then we will go. As now Adventure onto the pit straight and across the line he will go. Is he going to go to the top of the timing sheets? And no, he can't. Loses time in the last sector, but goes up to second place. 48 thousandths of a Jacob Stepnica, and ruins the Jaguar front row that they had a little bit earlier on. Coach Cheong up on his personal best. Goes into 13th position, as Decelli is also up on his personal best as well. 3/10 up, to be exact. Decelli's currently in 8th place, so you'd imagine he's going to climb a few places up, but we shall see. As Decelli now then, across the line, he will go, and he goes into 6th position, so only really gaining 2 places out of that time by. As now Bartosz Bracki coming out the final turn. He looks like he's not improving at the moment, is the Polish driver, as he now crosses the line, does not improve. Owen Carpenter across the line, he will go in the DS Techeetah, and he goes into 11th, in fact. Found some time in the last sector to actually improve. Brandon Jackson's up on his personal best, currently in 7th place at the present moment. His teammate Robert Ionescu is also out on the racetrack. Jackson across the line, he will go, and he goes into 3rd position. So a big improvement there, gets in front of his teammate, and also Jaswant Kumar as well. So he goes down a bit more in the order. Koenig doesn't improve. Cass Morgan in the Mahindra, across the line, he will go, and he stays in 22nd, but improves on his time. So currently the 2 Mahindras are on the back row at the moment. No improvement there for Kochi Cheong. Rafael Demel across the line, he will go in the Virgin Racing Car, up on his personal best. He goes up into 7th place. Nguyen doesn't improve. Adventure coming back in, as so far Ionescu is not up on his personal best at this stage, as he now comes out of the final turn, and the Romanian driver, across the line he goes, and he does not improve. He stays in 5th position for the moment, as Razin is up on his personal best, and still up on his personal best, but still 2/10 off of Stepnica, but nearly 2/10 up on his personal best. So we'll see what Razin can do. So far, I would think he might not be able to improve on position. He might, but I think it's going to be a little bit tight. Let's see. The Indonesian coming out of the final turn, and across the line he will go now then, and he actually does go up into 5th position, so he was able to find some more time in that last sector to get into the top 5 there. But I do believe Blake is back now, from what I can hear in the on the headphones. As I was saying before we went out there, given that there's only 5 races left, Blake, and we're pretty much at the halfway point of the season, it is kind of a crunch point really in the championship.
Yeah, everyone behind Stepnica really needs to put their foot down. It really means that putting themselves to be in the firing line for anyone. So to be honest, they really need to put their foot down, and they think they need to start taking risks. So like but they have to take some risks, but like not risky enough to put them out the championship fight.
Yeah, indeed. And so far, Stepnika doing a very good job at the moment, being at the top of the timing screens at the moment. Of course, as mentioned, he comes into this race leading the championship, but only by a solitary point ahead of teammate Jaswant Kumar. But if he can get pole today, then he would increase that gap to 4 points, given that you get 3 points for pole position in the series, and 2, of course, for the fastest lap. As the Mahindra there, just on the left-hand side of Tobler, is getting wheeled back into the garage. But it looks like Tobler is about to go, because his mechanics are preparing, and it looks like he's going to go out first of all these guys. And we have just over 11 minutes to go now then in this session to determine the grid for the Lisbon ePrix here at Estoril. Of course, the circuit just on the outskirts of Lisbon, hence why it's called the Lisbon ePrix. So, Tobler now then, coming around turn 2 now then. He will go as he uses a bit of curb on the outside there. Well, quite a lot of it, I should say, as he prepares to start his lap. Currently, the Neos are on row 9 at the moment, 17th and 18th at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see if they can find a little bit more improvement. There is somebody else coming out on track, and that is Nguyen Min Kwan in the DS Cheetah, all the way down in 20th at the moment. Not exactly ideal for him at this stage, as his teammate Carpenter is up in 12th position. So, yeah, he really needs to find some improvement somewhere in that DS Cheetah car. As, in fact,
out on the track as well.
Indeed, as just looking around, we talked about how the Neos are currently sharing row 9 at the moment. They're currently only separated by 1,000th of a second, so not much between them at this stage. As Tobler now then around the flat-out right-hander, he will go now then, as he now makes his way into the final couple of corners now then. Through the parabolic at Ayrton Senna he goes, as he'll be starting his lap. He'll be hoping he doesn't get any traffic by the time he starts that lap now then. The Czech driver coming out of the final turn. So now heading down the straight as he starts his lap now then. As let's see what he's able to do as he blasts down towards first corner. There is some traffic on the right hand side there, and it looks like he is going to get held up here, Blake.
Yeah. As soon as I see it up on the mini map, I know Tobler's lapper is ruined, but there's literally nothing you can do about traffic unless there's some way you can move that out of the way, but it's near impossible in GP4. So unfortunately, Tobler's now stuck behind the Venturi.
Yep, and you can tell how much it's cost him because he's 7/10 off his personal best and 1.2 off of Jacob Stepnika in that first sector. He tries to have a go around the outside into the Parabolica interior here, but it's not going to work out for him there, as using quite a lot of curb on that outside before making their way down towards the Orella curve now then. As now coming out of that turn, Tobler still getting stuck behind the Venturi at this stage. Through the right hander we go, and well, although he's been able to gain a little bit of time back in that second sector, he is still down on that personal best, and it looks like the Czech driver is not going to be able to improve on that 18th position at the moment. Only 1,000th as mentioned, covering the two Neo drivers after they did a little bit of slipstreaming on their first flying lap, as Tobler will try and get by on the Venturi, but it's not going to mean much. Tobler doesn't improve and he stays in 18th. His teammate Neuville also just behind. Kwan up on his personal best, and still continues to be up on that personal best at the moment by 3/10. The Devil's phone number, in fact, down on Jacob Stepnika there, 0.666. So that's that really, as Kwan now then through the final turn. He will go, as Kwan now then makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line will go the Vietnamese driver, and he goes into only 19th really, only gained 1 place, so not exactly ideal for him. Choi also on an improvement. She's currently in 7th place. How far can she improve? As Sonna Choi crosses the line and in fact loses time in the last sector and does not improve as a result, as Ross Denholm now then, the Scotsman is now going to cross the line in the Nissan, and can he improve? He can, but only into 11th. He's still outside the top 10 at the moment. As here's Cesar Cohen Jr. up on his personal best. He now crosses the line, and he goes into 21st position ahead of Cass Morgan. Jaswant Kumar across the line, no improvement. He stays in 4th position, as Daniel Adventure, also not an improvement, currently 48,000 behind Jacob Stepnika at the moment. As Adventure crosses the line, and no improvement. He stays where he is. Later Leighton Aviard now then, making his way onto the pit straight now then, as he now crosses the line, and he does not improve. Jacob Stepnica, no improvement for him, stays on a 121.037, as Coach Chunchiang crosses the line, and still no improvement. In fact, the Neo Tobler is still not able to get by him there after he did the lap. Neuville, speaking of Neos, is also down on her personal best by 0.3 of a second in the middle sector. The Belgian driver now crosses the line. I'm not expecting an improvement, and no, she doesn't. She stays in 17th, so the Neo still on row 9 at the moment. Bartosz Bracki also not up on his personal best. He's currently, where is he at the moment? Danny's 16th at the moment, so 14th and 16th for the two Venturis. Not exactly ideal for them at the moment, but Bracki now then, across the line he goes. No improvement, he stays where he is, as we now look at Cass Morgan, who's on a lap, but he's also not on an improvement at this stage. Cass Morgan, across the line, he will go, and no improvement, he stays in last, still about 4 tenths off as Kumar comes in, so that purple sector is not going to count for anything, because he's coming into the pits at the end of this lap. So, yeah, not really movement, not many movements on that particular run there, Blake.
Yeah, there's not a lot of runs on this one, but the only like real time gainer was Ross Denholm, but then again, Ross Denholm didn't do a particularly great lap. So yeah, looks like the rubber planted down here is not sticking to the road.
Appears not at this stage, as we now have just over 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Cesar Cohen Jr., the only Dominican Republic driver in the OC, currently on the back row with teammate Morgan at this stage. The Mahindra is not having the best qualifying session so far, although you would think it's a little bit, it's understandable really, given they are in a Group 3 car, so you would expect maybe these sorts of performances to happen from a Group 3 machine, but that's kind of that really. I think they were still expecting a little bit more, as in fact Cohen's not that far away from Leighton Aviard at this stage, as Coach Chunchiang gets wheeled back into the garage. Dominic Ticelli in the Nissan is going out onto the racetrack, and just looking at Ticelli this season, it's been a case of frustration really for the Italian, because of course we know that Nissan have got a much better car since they've now become a Group 1 machine. That's why Ticelli took pole position at Sao Paulo earlier on in the season. But for him really, the last 2 races he hasn't been able to score points, and you do get a sense that maybe there's a little bit of frustration kicking in with the Ferrari reserve driver here.
Yeah, I can feel that. Dominic Ticelli is currently at the moment. He is currently frustrated, especially what he's done last season. But currently, he's just absolutely frustrated out of his mind. Currently, he needs to stay focused and get on with it. But I wouldn't say that, because the Nissan's a bit. I wouldn't say it's the best Group 1 car.
Yeah, so far the Jaguars seem to have been the best out of the Group 1 cars at this stage, and then it's kind of been a bit of a mystery between Audi, Mercedes and even Nissan, who seem to have a little bit of an issue with consistency this season, whereas Jaguar seemed to have got their consistency on track, which was a little bit odd, because last season that seemed to be the thing that bugged Jaguar in 2021, the lack of consistency that both Prazan and Tilsley were able to produce in that car, but clearly that's been sorted since Kumar and Stepnica have come to the team. But Ticelli now then starting his lap, as we have just over 4 minutes to go in this session. You do wonder if this is going to be his last lap, of course, given if he's going to be allowed back on the track, but we will wait and see, of course, once we cross that path. As Ticelli through into turn 2, trying to chuck the car in as much as possible, as he now makes his way up towards the 3rd corner now then, curve 3 now then, as the 3 curves he's just passed before going to curve VIP, because for some reason they didn't want to call it curve 4 for some reason. Maybe it's a little bit repetitive, who knows. But 2 tenths down on his personal best in the 1st sector, and 2 tenths down on Stepnica as well. So Ticelli not having the best of laps here, maybe pushing a little bit too hard through those first few corners on the racetrack. Is now heading down this back straight before heading towards turn number 6 on the track, the Parabolica Interior. Basically hugging the curb on the inside there. A lot being used on the outside as they head their way down towards the Orella curve. As now through the right he goes, and now making his way towards the uphill section, towards the end of sector 2 now then, and 7 tenths off. So this is not a good lap here for Ticelli, and he's nowhere near trying to get an improvement in this session. Through the Parabolica Ayrton Senna we shall go, as they now make their way out of the final corner. Goes Ticelli onto the pit straight goes the Italian. What is the lap time going to be now then? And 1:22, I think that said, so no improvement for him there. He stays in 9th position. Charles Choi starting a lap there. Same with Robert Ionescu and Kwan and Tobler and Razin. So we move to Rafael Dumal in the Virgin now then, as he makes his way towards the end of Sector 2, as he approaches the end of Sector 2, and he's 8 tenths down the middle sector, so kind of having a similar lap to what we saw with Dominic Cicelli a little bit earlier on. So through the S's he goes, now through Parabolica, Ayrton Senna now then, as now underneath the little advertising board there, and now making his way onto the pit straight goes Rafael Dumal, the Brazilian driver. So currently teammate Chue up in 7th. What can Dumal do? No improving. He stays in 8th at the moment, and so far the Virgins still occupying the 4th row. Jackson up on his personal best. Meanwhile, what can he do? Can he actually go to the top of the timing screens here? Let's see. Brandon Jackson heading down to the pit straight. Can he beat Stepnica to the top? No, he can't. He goes into 2nd place. 35 thousandths off of Stepnica. Couldn't get the last little bits there he needed to snatch pole off of Stepnica. Here is Marvo Koenig, who's up on his personal best. Across the line, he goes into 11th place there. His teammate Kochi Cheong is also on an improvement, currently holding on to that top 10 spot. The Malaysian driver across the line, he will go, and he loses time in the last sector and remains in 10th. Huang Min Nguyen now then currently in 14th position, across the line, stays 14th for the time being. Cicelli back in the pit. Sana Chue not up on her personal best as she comes out of the final turn. Onto the pit straight now then goes the South Korean driver as Chue crosses the line, and she doesn't look like she's improving, as Robert Ionescu is also not on an improvement in the Audi. Let's see if he can find anything in the last sector. Across the line he goes, and he remains in 6th. No improvement, and that's probably where he's going to stay. Nguyen Min Kwan across the line, no improvement. He stays where he is, as Mohamed Razan just making his way out of that final corner now then in the Mercedes, making his way onto the pit straight, and across the line he will go. No improvement, stays in 5th. Tobler doesn't improve, he stays where he is as Dumal comes into the pits. Leighton Aviard up on his personal best. Hopefully he doesn't get held up by the Virgin there on the right hand side, which he doesn't. Aviard crosses the line and improves only into 16th position, so a row now behind Nguyen there, as I think that's everybody done with, and with 46 seconds to go, that is pretty much everybody's laps done with. So the rookie Jacob Stepnica has taken pole position for the Lisbon ePrix here at Estoril, and pretty good lap indeed there for the Czech rookie, as he now increases his lead to 4 points in the Drivers' Championship ahead of teammate Jaswant Kumar there. And is this his first ever pole position, or is it his second? It's his second pole. I thought he had a pole. He got pole at Miami, of course, so this is his second pole of the season for Jacob Stepnica, as he'll look to try and see if he can get his first win a little bit later on, Blake.
Yeah, Stepnica really needs his first win if he wants to continue his mighty title charge this year.
Indeed so, as Razan will be heading back into the pits this lap. Same for the Neo as well. And then, of course, once it heads back to the menu screen, that is when we will find out what the results look like, of course. Just waiting for everybody to come back into the pits. There is one more car out there that's just coming out of Parabolica there, and soon should pull to the right-hand side, which it does. It's a Porsche, so into the pit lane they go, as we now wait for the game to go back to the menu screen, and in fact we're going to do that straight away. So here is your grid then for qualifying, as is Jacob Stepnica, who is on pole position for the second time this season, from Brandon Jackson in 2nd. Daniel Adventure starts in 3rd, with Jaswant Kumar 4th. Mohamed Razan 5th. Robert Ionescu is in 6th, followed by Sana Chue in 7th. Rafael Dumal is in 8th, with Dominic Cicelli 9th. Kochi Cheong in 10th, with Marvo Koenig in 11th, and you can do the rest, Blake.
In top 10, P12 and P13 we got Ross Stenholm. P14 we got Harmon Green, and P15 we got Koji Cheong. Leighton Aviard in P16, Bartosz Bracchi in P17, Neville in 18th, Jacob Tobler, Nguyen and Kwan 19th and 20th, Caesar Cohen Jr. 21st, and Catherine Morgan and Mahindra starting in P22.
Indeed. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment whilst Yuri sorts out the grid for the race. So stick around, guys, because the race will be coming up on this screen as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself as I get the tweet prepared for Twitter. So in the meantime, just stick around, guys, because the race will be coming up very shortly. Hey, I'm back. The tweet is now up on Twitter. And, well, hopefully we'll be in for a very exciting race because the last season, of course, when me and Blake commentated here at Estoril, it was a pretty good race as well, albeit I think it was kind of helped as well by the changeable conditions. But even when we get a dry race here, it's usually quite exciting, especially the overtakes that we usually get down into turn one. And we've seen in the past that corner can create some chaos as well, because given the bumps around that part of the track, it can be very easy lose the back end of the car and go straight into the gravel and into the wall, potentially ending your race. And we have seen some drivers in the past do dangerous rejoins at that part of the track, so that'll be one to keep an eye out, especially in the steward's room, to make sure that nobody's doing anything, anything stupid on the racetrack, really. So should be hopefully quite an entertaining race here at Estoril.
Yeah, like Joe elaborated. The straights on this track are massive. I think the best chance to overtake us in curve one and parabolica interior. So basically, I can see a lot of overtakes on this track. Is this if it's wet or not?
Indeed, so I think the main points, as mentioned, the overtakes could possibly come down into turn one, but I think it is possible because I think we have seen some overtakes down into the parabolica interior as well. So it's not completely impossible to see some more overtakes into other corners, maybe even into turn three as well, into the curve of three. If you don't get the run through into turn one, you could possibly continue that run through turn two and then possibly dive your way into turn three if it's possible. So that's one to keep an eye on. The start of the race is also going to be very interesting as well, because it's a very long run to the first braking zone of the racetrack, or the first heavy braking zone, which will be turn three, and sometimes that can cause some chaos at the start of the race, but whether we'll have that or not, we shall see. But we're about to get underway because the stream is now back up on our side at least, so you should be able to see it quite soon on your screen, which you do now. So anybody who missed out on qualifying a little bit earlier on, here is the grid then. We'll go 4x4 as we get set for 32 laps here at Estoril. So, on pole position for the second time this season, it is the championship leader, Jacob Stepnica, with Brandon Jackson, the man who won last time out of Portimao, in second. Daniel Adventure starts in third, with Jaswant Kumar in fourth.
In P5, we've got Mohammed Razan. In P4, we've got Robert Ionescu. In P7 and P8, we've got the two versions of Sanitary and Rafael Dumel.
Is Dominic Ticelli in ninth, followed by Kochi Cheong in 10th. His teammate Marvo Koenig will start in 11th, with Owen Carpenter in 12th position.
In P13, we've got Ross Denholm and Hungwai Nguyen in P14, and Coach John Cheong and Leighton Naviod in P15 and 16.
Archers Bracky starts down in 17th, with Bella Nueville in 18th. Teammate Jacob Tobler will start in 19th, with Nguyen Minh Quan all the way down in a disappointing 20th. And on the back row of the grid, Blake
are the two Mahindras of Caesar Cotton Jr. and Cass Morgan.
And the weather, it is bright and sunny, no rain expected, so similar conditions to what we saw, I think, in 2020 as well. So hopefully it should be a good race, should be a lot of overtaking, as we're about to get set for 32 laps of action here at the Lisbon ePrix in Estoril now then, as we just wait for the screen to load up, as here we are then on the grid for 32 laps of action. Pit stop should come just after the halfway point of the race then. So it is Stepnica on the left-hand side of your screen. It's Jackson on the right, who is going to get the lead all the way down into the first corner and all the way into turn three. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, and we now have 5 lights on your screens, and it is lights out, and away we go here for the Lisbon ePrix. Who's going to get a run down towards the near flat out turn one now as they all tentatively get away from the light? It looks like Stepnica's got a start. Poor start from Jackson. It looks like he's bogged down a little bit as he's got Kumo and Adventure swarming all over him now. As they make their way down towards the first corner, Adventure has taken second place, trying to look around the outside of Stepnica if he can. Through the first corner we go, and now around turn 2 we go then. Stepnica holds on to the lead for the moment, and it's also been Jackson's down to third position. As a result, Kumar wasn't able to get a place there, but Adventure, a brilliant start for him to get up into second place, and it looks like everybody's kept it clean so far, which is good to see. No, they haven't. I've spoke too soon as Cass Morgan and the Nguyen Minh Quan are out of the race. They've both had a crash. There's wheels all over the place, and we've already got 2 retirements at turn 3, Blake.
Yeah, and it's all started because of the Neos. Let's have a look back at that again. I think Cass Morgan, did he just run the back one on the Neos?
Let's have a look as yeah, it looked like
no.
It was basically a concertina there that went into there, and
yeah,
looks like Looks like Cohen there got a little bit... Sorry, Morgan got a little bit caught up, and then it just caught out Quan. Cohen, though, very lucky he didn't sustain any damage from that, because he had all the wheels right in front of him, so luckily nobody sustained any damage outside of the two that crashed out. But meanwhile, back to the front of the race. Adventure now looking to the outside of Jacob Stepnica, as he looks for his second victory of the season at Adventure after he won at Miami, ironically the same place where Adventure won. And there was people that got damaged. Tobler got damaged, of course, because he was the one that got hit up the backside by Cass Morgan earlier on in the race. So he's going to have to pit for a new rear wing end plates, it's fair to say, or a new rear end, it should be said, with these cars. But meanwhile, Jackson losing touch to the top two, as he's got both Kumar and Razan breathing down his neck there. It hasn't been the best of starts for Ionescu. He's dropped a pace, but he's still clinging onto the back of Sana Chue, who had a fantastic start from 7th on the grid. But can Adventure now get a run on Jacob Stepnica as they now make their way around the final turn? The Mercedes driver doing all he can to get the lead off the Jaguar driver, as he's now looking to the inside. Side by side they go down towards the first corners. A lot of people will be taking fastest laps at this early stage, but Adventure on the inside. Is this going to be a lead change as the Mercedes looks to the inside of the Jaguar through into the first corner? Stepnica tried to hang it around the outside as they go through turn 2. Stepnica does hold on for the moment as Kumar has overtaken Jackson for 3rd place. So Kumar up into 3rd place. He's gained a place now as Ionescu retakes 6th from Chue, so he's gained a place. He's up to 6th, and now he's on the back of this huge train that's being formed by Jaswant Kumar now then, as Adventure has not been able to find a way through on Stepnica. As it looks like now the top two are now starting to back up to that train that's being formed by the other Jaguar.
Yeah, looks like the Jaguars are slowly backing into each other. Well, meanwhile, Adventure is basically going to make a move again, trying to go around the outside on interior Parabolica, and there's no room to make the move at all. And Robert Ionescu, well, wait a second, Brandon Jackson can be caught out here, and here comes the one other Mercedes of Razan, just trying to kind of around the outside, trying to find a way, and Brandon Jackson just still holds on. That's a good little battle there, Joe.
Indeed, but they have lost track of time to Jaswant Kumar as a result. Ionescu tries to take full advantage of that, but can't find a way through at the moment. Now, then looks like Chue's also having to fend off on one of the Andretti's just behind them, of course, because Ionescu obviously overtook earlier on. Now Chue having to fend off on another car. But can take 2 now for Daniel Adventure? Can he get the move on Jacob Stepnica this time, guys? They make their way onto the pit straight now then, as he now looks to the inside. Can the German driver get it done? Stepnica's at the fast lap, but gets taken by teammate Kumar, who's broken away from that group thanks to them having a scrap with Jackson. But it looks like Adventure a little bit further alongside this time and this time he gets it done. Daniel Adventure takes the lead of the Lisbon ePrix. He takes it from Stepnica, and the question is, can he now blast away from the Jaguars, as Jackson still doing all he can to fend off from Razan and his own teammate Robert Ionescu at the same time. Looks like Jackson's struggling a little bit at these early stages.
Yeah, looks like Jackson is slowly but surely just losing time. Just slowly he's just slowly losing loads of time. He could easily get past. Well, meanwhile, Stepnica could have another go into interior Parabolica, but I think Razan isn't going to defend the position unless Stepnica can go around the outside. Nope, that's not a good idea.
Everybody's now forming the train behind Jackson, so Jackson pretty much forming his own truly train at the moment in that fight for 4th position. But anyway, Stepnica, though, not giving up on Daniel Adventure at this stage. Adventure's got to be aware that he's got potentially 2 very hungry Jaguars now right behind him, because Kumar's not too far behind. Yeah, the top 2 at the moment now then, as Stepnica using the slipstream to keep up with Adventure, and he might actually try and have a go back at him now then into the first corner. Now around the final turn we go now then, as Yuri just said there, hungry cats. Yeah, it's fair to say, yeah, because they are wild cats, of course, or Jaguars. But anyway, speaking of a Jaguar, Stepnica once again attacking Adventure, who's just set the fastest lap of the race. Stepnica now on the inside. Can he retake the lead from the Mercedes driver down towards the first corner? Down the inside he goes, and he will do indeed. So after only a lap in front, Stepnica reclaims the lead from Adventure right there, as Ionescu passes Razan into the first corner. So up into 5th place goes Robert Ionescu. He had enough of being stuck behind the Mercedes driver, and he's now up to 5th, and now it's his turn to chase down his own teammate.
Yeah, looks like there's a lot of battles going on at the moment, which is good to see. Good to see. Whilst Daniel Adventure is going to have another go at Stepnica into Parabolica. Whilst these two are fighting, Joshua Kumar is getting closer and closer by the second, and here comes Razan trying to have a go around the outside, and there's no way he can get through there. Whilst meanwhile, trying to Chue made a mistake and just going to be capitalised by Koenig, and he's got through.
That was brilliant. That was great thinking there from Koenig, and he gets by on Chue. into seventh place there, so good job from him there. As meanwhile, the top three are now grouped together because all that fighting that Adventure and Stepnika are doing is allowing Kumar and even Brandon Jackson to close up as well. As now it could become a four-way scrap, as Ionescu might still have trouble with Razan here because it looks like Razan has not got away from him at the moment. Looks like he wants to reclaim fifth place, just like Razan's teammate Adventure is trying to reclaim the lead. So here we go again. It looks like they're going to maybe swap places once again, these two. Jackson now sets a fast up his act, having a look at Kumar into the first corner now then as they make their way into the first corner. Has the lead changed? No, it hasn't. Stepnika holding on to the lead, but Jackson has claimed third from Kumar and he's up into P3. Razan tried to have a go at Ionescu once again, but Ionescu says no to that and he holds on to fifth position for the moment. Wasn't able to make the move stick there. Tway meanwhile has re-overtaken Koenig and has got back up into seventh place, but yeah, Adventure not able to get the lead once again that time by, and they'll now have Jackson and Kumar breathing down, and also Ionescu and Razan because they're not too far behind either. So now even the battle for the lead has now started to cause a train as well.
Yeah, indeed. Here comes Daniel Adventure again. He's going for another time. Again, he doesn't have enough pace, and here comes Brandon Jackson ready to breathe down his neck, but Brandon Jackson doesn't have the grip. And meanwhile, Kumar has trying to find a way to get past Brandon Jackson. No, this battle, the lead is getting chaotic, but Stepnika is slowly pulling away.
Yeah, he's now got a bit of breathing space thanks to Adventure going wide through the Parabolica interior there. Jackson was nearly able to capitalise as a result, as now Ionescu has got Kumar's got Ionescu breathing down his neck, but Ionescu's also dragging Razan along for the ride as well. Trey's not too far behind either, but meanwhile Jackson's now got a run on Daniel Adventure now, then heading down the pit straight. At least Stepnika to breathe a sigh of relief as the two Audis are on the attack now then, as they are trying to gain a position each, as Jackson on the inside of Daniel Adventure into the first corner. Is this going to be P2 for him? No, it's not. Adventure holds on to second place for the moment as Ionescu tries his best on Kumar. He's still side by side through turn 2 and he's got the move done. Ionescu up into fourth position and another place game for the remaining driver. He said before the weekend he really needs to get a result here, and so far he's making the progress needed to try and get a very good result today.
At the moment, Robert Ionescu, I would say he's the fastest guy on track. Well, I think, yeah, Brandon Jackson made a mistake.
So that would explain that would explain why Jackson wasn't able to get the place. He's very lucky. But it didn't.
All could have ended really badly there. Could have ended in tears.
We talked about in qualifying how the bumps can really affect that corner. Jackson was lucky the car didn't swerve towards the gravel there. He was able to save it, but it meant he lost ground to Adventure. And now he's got his teammate breathing down his neck, Tobler, with another fastest lap meanwhile, because he's obviously on much fresher tyres. As meanwhile, Kumar having to fend off for Mohamed Razan. But it looks like the two Audis are going to go into combat. Clearly no team orders at Audi here today, as they now make their way down towards the right. There's a bit of an accident! There's an accident down the interior, and it looks like, who is that? There's a Nissan, it's Denholm! Ross Denholm is out of the race. He's the man going into this race. He was third in the championship. Yep, well, that's going to make him lose time in the championship as a result, and Denholm is out of the race. Now, clearly, somebody's hit him up the right-hand side, but who was it? That's what I want to know. It was an accident, so who's clipped the side of him? Let's have a look.
So, Ross Denholm. He hit...
I think that's all on Denholm there, I'm afraid. I think Dave Blakey was a little bit too ambitious there.
Yeah.
Coach, very, very lucky he didn't get punted off. And, well, poor Rafael Demel there, he was just a passenger in all that.
Yeah. Yeah, Ross Denholm, I get, I'm a bit biased to other people, but that was just not on by Denholm. He should not have made a move in the first place.
Okay, Denholm with a 5-place grid penalty for the next race. Yuri has just confirmed that, so just type that in so that we can remember for 2 weeks, which will of course be the Estoril ePrix at Aragon. But yeah, 5-place grid penalty to Denholm, and that's not going to help his championship at all. Meanwhile, Razan attacking Kumar. Ionescu surprisingly not close enough on Jackson on that occasion, but there is yellow flags down the interior section, so no overtakes can be done at that part of the track. Ticelli tries to look onto the inside of Sana Tway into the first corner now then. Through turn 2 we will go. Has the Italian got the move done? He has indeed, and he's now up into 7th place, and it looks like Tway may have the Andretti there trying to attack, but not quite able to get the move done there as the two Audis Still scrapping for third as Adventure tries to close back up to Stepnica. But as mentioned, there is yellow flags down at the Parabolica interior, so no overtaking down there. Otherwise, if you do overtake, you will get a penalty. And Demal, of course, sadly a passenger in all that. He's had to come into the pits to repair some damage, and it looks like it might be a 2-stop for him. And Ionescu goes to the outside, but of course he can't overtake through into there because otherwise he will gain a penalty. And in fact, he's lost time doing all that, and he's now found himself in the mercy of Kumar and Razin, who are fighting for 5th position. So Ionescu may need to watch his mirrors now after going wide into that corner. But meanwhile, Razin actually trying to have a go up towards the right-hander there, but clearly not having enough momentum to do so. As they now make their way into the final couple of corners on the racetrack. Is Kumar going to have a go at Ionescu here into the final turn?
Sorry to interrupt. I think Adventure's on the back of Stepnica again, I think.
Yes, indeed. He's now going to... He is going to have a go again. Is this going to be another lead change between these two now? Then as they go side by side down towards the first corner, has Adventure got the lead back off of Stepnica? He most certainly has. Daniel Adventure retakes the lead here at Estoril. And once again, Stepnica right on the back of the Mercedes once more. Ionescu able to fend off from Kumar that time by, because I don't think the Indian driver was close enough to make a move on Ionescu that time by. But once again, they change positions. Trey's got a problem. No! Sonic Trey, who was running well in the points, and the mechanics are not ready because clearly it was a last-minute call indeed, unless there's no mechanics on this track. And no, there's no mechanics here, so don't worry, there are mechanics here. It's just invisible mechanics here at Estoril. But for poor Sana Chue, who was running well in the points, that has ruined her race entirely.
I feel bad for Sana Chue. She was doing so well. I just feel absolutely terrible. But now we have some moves going on, but Kumar is still defending for his life, while Stepnica is still trying to find a way back against the German of Daniel Adventure. These two are literally having a ding-dong battle of the century, whilst the Audis are just slowly but surely just catching them with their claws out.
Indeed, and the yellow flags have now been lifted after that accident that Denholm caused himself, so that they're now free to overtake again through into turn 6 there. It looks like Stepnica on this occasion not close enough to get all the Adventure. In fact, Jackson's actually a bit closer to him on this occasion. Is Jackson going to actually get a run on the Jaguar? He most certainly is going to have a go. Jackson on the inside of Ionescu now sets the fastest lap of the race of 1:22.5. Free wide going into the first corner here. Keep it together, boys, as they now head their way into the first corner, but thankfully no collision there, as meanwhile Jackson has got second from Stepnica. So Brandon Jackson up into second place, and all that battle and Adventure and Stepnica have done, it has allowed Jackson to capitalise and maybe even Robert Ionescu at the same time.
Yeah, and also I think Daniel Adventure made a little mistake into curve 3, so Brandon Jackson could be still chasing Daniel Adventure. This is an absolute great battle for the lead.
It is indeed, as now it's Jackson's turn to attack Adventure for the lead of the race, as Ionescu's now attacking Stepnica for the final podium place as they now make their way through into that left-hander, using all the curb as possible. The Audi's on a charge now, trying to punish these two drivers who have been battling for such a long time in this race now. Then through down the hill we will go, as up the hill towards the flat-out right-hander we will soon go, as Jackson's now breathing all over the back of Daniel Adventure, although he had to back out a little bit there going up the hill. That might put him under the clutches of Kumar once again now. Then it looks like Jackson has now lost a little bit of time to Adventure as a result. Meanwhile, Ionescu is now going to try and get a run onto Stepnica if he can for that final podium, as now coming around that corner, unless Stepnica has got slipstream on Jackson, we shall wait and see. Heading down the pit straight now, then we will go. I think Stepnica has actually got slipstream on Jackson, which is keeping him in front of Ionescu for the time being, as in fact Stepnica's going to try and retake second place from the Audi of Jackson into the first corner, and he goes through. So Stepnica back up into second place. Ionescu just watching on to see if he can pounce as best as possible, but that little back off there that Jackson had to do going up the hill to avoid a little collision from Adventure has cost him, because Stepnica was able to capitalise and reclaim that second place.
I think Jackson prepares to stay in the race and then taking herself out. That would have been an absolute disaster. Whilst meanwhile, Coach Yuchi is actually doing pretty well. Whilst Brandon Jackson is trying to have another go at Stepnica, as Robert Ionescu is just watching the battle unfold, and he could have a go against his teammate Brandon Jackson, and Robert Ionescu is taking third place. That was a brilliant move by the Romanian.
Indeed, Jackson went wide there, was fighting with Stepnico, and Ionescu punished him for that to get up to third, and now it's his turn to attack the Jaguar driver. In fact, he gets a better run out of that corner, but he's going to tuck back into the slipstream and potentially wait for the pit straight to get the move done on Jaguar. But all this is doing is allowing Adventure to pull away out in front now, then as they make their way through into the final couple of the corners now, then we will go. The remaining driver is going to have a run at the Jaguar if he can, and see if he has enough pace perhaps to maybe catch up to Adventure, if he could get the move done on the Jaguar, that is, as they now make their way onto the pit straight now. Then Robert Ionescu on the inside of Jacob Zemnika. Is this going to be P2 for the Audi driver? In the background we can see that Razan's attacking Kumar for 5th position, but now Ionescu, is this P2 for the Romanian driver? It most certainly is, and Ionescu up into 2nd place. He is on a charge, and the next target for him, if he's got the pace, is Daniel Adventure for the lead of this race. As already Stepnika having to defend because he's got Jackson all over the back of him there. Razin still not able to find a way through on Kumar. In fact, it's not Razin that's attacking, it's actually Dicelli that's attacking, because unseen by the cameras, Dicelli has actually passed Razin into the first corner, so he's now up into 6th position, and it's now him attacking Kumar for 5th place, as the gap is 1.4 seconds between Adventure and Ionescu, as Ionescu is now starting to gap Stepnika, while Stepnika is busy having to fend off from Brandon Jackson here. Jackson looking to the outside, can't get the move done, and it looks like Jackson's going to have to wait a little bit longer. Same with Dicelli on Kumar there. Koenig having to fend off from his own teammate, Kochi Cheong at the moment, and also from his brother as well, Kochong, at the same time. The other Venturian Bracky is having to fend off from Mahindra, but everywhere you look so far, there is battles everywhere here at Estoril, and this is what we love to see, of course, and this is why the racing here for Formula E is usually quite exciting, and once again, it's producing quite a classic at this stage.
At the moment, and here comes Brandon Jackson, slowly but surely getting on Stepnika, as Dicelli has made a mistake somewhere, and Razin's now on the back of the Italian.
Meanwhile, Jackson's on the inside now then of Stepnika. Is this going to be P3 and a double podium for the two Audi drivers side by side? Heading into the first corner, Jackson on the inside, and he claims the pace. Jackson up to 3rd, and it is now 2 and 3 for the two Audi drivers. As meanwhile, Kumar fending off pretty well from Dicelli. Razin tried to capitalise, but it didn't work out. And as a result, they've now fell back into the clutches of the two Andretti drivers. As Stepnika's not actually giving up on Jackson just yet. He is still keeping up with the Audi drivers. So Jackson has still not been able to shake off the Jaguar driver just yet.
Yeah, and also Razin is gaining on not gaining. He's actually losing time to Koenig. The Andretti's actually running really well here, and Stepnika trying to go around the outside. You're probably know the story by now.
Had to have a go there, didn't quite work out for him there at that point in time. As now just coming out of the turn, we will go as Stepnika will try and see if he can get a run onto Jackson onto the pit strip, providing if he can get close enough through into these corners now. Then it's Ionescu is definitely catching up to Adventure. You just see how much he's gaining. He's now cut the gap to under a second between himself and Daniel Adventure in this race. As in fact the Adventures have now dropped back now from Razin there as they're continuing their little scrap for what is 8th position. But Ionescu is closing in. He's not close enough yet at the moment to get a hold of Adventure, but maybe on the next lap he could have a chance. In fact, he is in the slipstream, but is he quite close enough to make a move? I don't think he is. As meanwhile, Stepnika in the background is once again attacking Jackson for P3, the Jaguar driver on the inside. Can he reclaim the place into the first corner? The answer to that is it looks like no. It looks like Jackson's going to hang it around the outside, and yep, Jackson's still going to hold on for the moment, so Stepnika wasn't able to reclaim the place at that point in time. Kumar still fending off of Dicelli at the moment. As Koenig, as meanwhile Kochong has passed his brother into the first corner there, so Kochong is up into 9th place, past his brother Kochi, and now he splits the two Andrettis as a result and finds himself in an Andretti sandwich at this stage as Stepnika and Jackson's battle continues. But now we have a fight for the leaders. Adventure is now under pressure from Robert Ionescu as they now make their way towards the left-hander. Ionescu has got around about 3 laps less than what Adventure has, so he'll be pitting earlier than what he's going to be doing. So now coming out of that turn, we will go Ionescu all over the back of Adventure, and he's trying to look for any possibility to get by on the German driver now. Then there's a come out of that turn again with better traction, but I think he might just tuck back in on the Mercedes, or is he? No, he's not. He's deciding against that as they now come around the right-hander. Clearly, he's confident he can gain back into the S's, and he looks like he is for the mirror. Looks like this is going to be Ionescu's first chance to pounce on Adventure now. Then through to the final turn. Looks like Jackson has now got away from Stepnika, as now the Audis look like they are once again flying on this race. They maybe even looking in a 1-2 here today, as Ionescu now on the inside of Daniel Adventure as it goes side by side down towards the first corner. Has Ionescu got enough? It looks like he's not got enough momentum into the first corner, so Adventure will hold on for the moment. Speaking of Mercedes, Razan now sets the fastest lap of the race, so he's currently holding on to the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race. And now Dicelli once again on Kumar as he stays side by side through to turn 2. Surely this time he's got it done, and yes he has. Dicelli up into 5th place, and it looks like Razin might try and follow through into turn 3 if he can. He's on the inside of the Jaguar driver as they now come out of the turn. They go side by side towards turn 4, but no, they can't, not quite. So it's only 1 place that Kumar has lost as the battle for the lead still continues at this stage. Ionescu still trying to find a way through on Adventure in the Mercedes now. They try to have a look around the outside, can't make it work out. So he's going to have to wait, I think, as he misses the apex of the result and lost all the momentum in the world. And he's going to have to do all that hard work again to get onto Adventure. But yeah, the Audis definitely seem to be the quickest cars out there at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. But yeah, indeed, Robert Ionescu and Brandon Jackson are currently on it. Whilst, I mean, credit to Adventure, he's still holding on to this position in a very, very pressurized position.
Yeah, indeed, as soon Adventure will be starting lap 15 of the race as Jackson tries to get up close to the back of teammate Ionescu. Meanwhile, Koenig has got Coach on Cheong all over the back. Same with Kumar, who's got Razin all over the back of him as they go down towards that pit straight now. Then is Razin going to get the move done on Jaswant Kumar heading into the first corner now? Then we go. I don't think he's that far alongside to get the move done, you know. He just doesn't have the straight line speed compared to the Jaguar, and he has to hang back as a result. Coach John can't find a way through on Koenig at this point as the 2 Audis close back in onto Daniel Adventure's Mercedes. And well, we talked about earlier how Adventure had 2 hungry cats right behind him in the form of Jaguars. He's now got 2 very hungry Audis now right behind in Ionescu and Jackson. So once again, teammates trying to put Adventure under a bit of pressure. Meanwhile, further down the order, this is, I think this is, well, it's one of the Neos trying to attack Sonatray. This is Jacob Tobler trying to attack Sonatray, who's trying to recover after her mechanical failure she had a little bit earlier on, but it looks like it's going to be stalling because Tobler is trying to find a way through into the first couple of corners, but he can't get the move done, so Trey holds on for the time being. Ionescu now closing back in onto the Mercedes driver as they go up the hill towards the S's now. Then we will go. Will Ionescu have enough momentum to get Adventure this time by? He wasn't able to have enough straight line speed last time by, but he's right on him once again. Is this going to be the move this time by for Robert Ionescu as they come around the final turn? He's right all over him, and he didn't even need to wait to get onto the straight because he's already there. But I don't know if he's pulled out a little bit too early. Ionescu with the fastest lap, he pulls back in the slipstream of the Mercedes driver, and as a result, I think him pulling out just a bit too early is going to cost him. And in fact, he's pitting at the end of this lap, is Ionescu. So Robert Ionescu will be pitting at the end of this lap. He thinks if he can't get him on the track, he'll try and jump him in the pits.
Yeah, that's why he's running a lower fuel set. Whilst meanwhile, yeah, Daniel Adventure's a bit struggling through that section through Curve 3. But Robert Ionescu could be on a really good strategy if everything goes his way.
Indeed, but let's not forget, we know that the Adventure is going to be possibly on fresher tyres a little bit later on, so that might come back to bite Ionescu if he's not careful, but we'll wait and see how this race, of course, pans out. As he now looks to the outside, tries to have a look through into there, but he can't get the move done. And again, loses momentum through into there, but luckily he is pitting at the end of this lap, so he's not going to worry too much about that corner. So he'll try and see if he can try and get the jump on the Mercedes driver in the pits as best as possible, as Razan is also doing his best to fend off from Kumar. As in fact, unseen by the cameras, Razan has got by onto Kumar, so he's up into 6th position, as now Kumar he's got the Andretti right behind him at the moment, as meanwhile we're going to be seeing Robert Ionescu peel into the pits here this lap. We know that Jackson's going to get held up a little bit because for some reason the AI like to slow a little bit when they get into the pit entrance around here. So we'll see Ionescu pull to the right, which he does, and Jackson having to back off as a result. Could that give Stepnica the opportunity he needs to catch back up as Jackson tries to build up speed? Stepnica now then looking to the inside. Can he pull the move off as they go side by side through into turn 1? And he most certainly can. So Jackson probably not going to be too happy with Ionescu there, but I don't think Rob's going to care that much as Stepnica gets back past on Jackson. As a result, Koenig looking to the inside of Kumar, can't get the move done, and Kumar holds on to the place on the moment. But as I mentioned, Ionescu is into the pits for Audi, and a quick pit stop for him, 6.4. He rejoins in 14th position, so not that much traffic around him, but the question is, will he be able to jump Adventure once he makes his pit stop? That's going to be the interesting thing. As Trey not really recovering too much at the moment. Meanwhile, Jackson already a bit angry from that. He's trying to reclaim the place from the Jaguar driver. DeChelli also watching on, and Jackson getting a little bit angry because once again he's gone a bit wide. DeChelli, can he take full advantage? No, he can't. Jackson just able to stay in front for the moment now. Then as they make their way down towards that right-hander there. As we now look at, this is DeChelli now then trying to catch back up to Brandon Jackson as they make their way up through the hill now. Then none of the top four are pitting just yet, as looks like now Jackson, thanks to that hold up, is going to get really affected when it comes to the pit stops. As now around the right-hander now then we will go, as now they're going to make their way onto the pit straight. As now DeChelli, is he going to get the move done on Brandon Jackson as they now make their way down towards the first corner now. Then as we're on lap 18 of 32 here at Estoril, somebody in the background is just making their way into the pits. As now DeChelli on the inside of Jackson, can he pull the move off? He most certainly can. DeChelli up into third position temporarily, of course, because of course Robert Ionescu pitted just a little bit earlier on. As that's that really. Adventure not pitting just yet, and again, no one in the top four is pitting just yet at the moment. Probably be another few laps before they make their mandatory pit stop in this race. Ionescu, meanwhile, currently in 13th place, just minding his own business with those fresher tyres, 1.4 seconds behind Owen Carpenter's DS Cheetah car, and looks like he's closing in at the moment with the fresher tyres he's got in his car, and so that's that. Jacob Toberlin now into the pits for Neo as Adventure continues to lead the way by 4.2 seconds ahead of Jacob Stepnica. Meanwhile, Jackson has not given up on DeChelli yet. DeChelli looks like he's still having to fend off from the Audi driver at that point as they come around that right-hander. As now we look at Adventure again, still leading the way in the Mercedes as now they come up the hill now then. As in fact Jackson had to back off once again. Could that allow... who was that behind him? Of course, that was the Mercedes of Razan to close up, as now Kumar once again having to fend off a Marvo Koenig, as in fact his teammate Coach Chi Chiong is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Koenig, for some reason, taking a wider line through into the final corner there, maybe to try and carry more speed down the straight, and it might work out for him, because he's now on the inside of Jaswant Kumar now then. His teammate Coach Chi Chiong has now just come into the pits in the background there, as he now is, in fact, he doesn't have enough momentum to get through. In fact, Koenig is pitting at the end of this lap, the lap after his teammate Kochi just finishes his pit stop. As in fact Stepnica getting closed up now by DeChelli and Jackson, and DeChelli is actually coming into the pits at the end of this lap. So is Jacob Stepnica, so is Daniel Adventure. So the top three are pitting. Is Jackson doing the same? No, he's not. Jackson is staying out for a little bit longer, but this could be very, very interesting to see where they rejoin in comparison to Ionescu here, Blake. You there, Blake?
Yes, still here. Okay, Robert Ionescu at the moment, he's... I bet he could be in a good position to undercut. But he needs to get, because he needs to tell everyone to get out the way first.
Indeed, luckily for him, Carpenter is not pitting this lap, so he's not like he's going to get held up at that pit entrance. So if he can get by him before then, that should be no problems for the Audi driver. But as mentioned, Jackson is of course staying out, but the top three are not. They're all coming in. But again, it's going to mean that Jackson is going to get held up a little bit more, and Razin might capitalise on that because his teammate is coming in at the end of this lap. As Adventure now into the pit, Stepnica and also DeChelli come in. Jackson's going to get held up. Razin's going to take full advantage and he gets by on the Audi driver. And Jackson is going to get royally annoyed with that because that's the second time he's been screwed over by that pit entrance. As now Adventure and also Stepnica and DeChelli are now in a pit stop battle. Adventure having to wait though. Looks like he's getting held up. That was the Andretti there. He had to wait for the Andretti to go by. And I wouldn't be surprised if Stepnica's also getting held up as well there. But luckily for Adventure, he doesn't lose any places. But it's going to lose in time in comparison to Robert Ionescu. Where is he on the racetrack now then? As Ionescu, whereabouts is he? As in fact he's only just coming out of the pit straight. Adventure is still in front of him in fact, so Ionescu has not done enough to jump Adventure, as Ionescu now gets ahead of Carpenter and he's now right behind Adventure once again. So I don't know if Carpenter had any involvement in that, but Ionescu now behind Adventure, and well, the battle resumes as a result.
Yeah. I mean, Ionescu got very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. He got past the he got past in Carpenter, because if he didn't, that would have been an instant game over. But he didn't. So, but I don't think that would be a good idea to go around the outside, Robert.
Trying to have a go. It's going to put him into a wider line as a result because of how that corner comprises. But luckily, Carpenter hasn't got the momentum to get him there. And luckily, Carpenter is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. So Ionescu shouldn't worry too much about the DS Cheetah, but he's lost the momentum as a result. His teammate, meanwhile, Brandon Jackson, is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. So he'll be holding up some cars behind as well. So be curious to see where he rejoins after his pit stop as they now make their way into the S's now. Then, of course, Carpenter will be peeling off into the pits. Razan now into the pits at the same time as Brandon Jackson, and be curious to see where they rejoin after their pit stop now. Then as we continue to ride on board with Ionescu, Razan having to wait a little bit for Cohen, but luckily didn't held up too much there as Jackson is back behind Razan still, as they've only just now finished their pit stop. Kumar has stayed out for the moment as through goes Adventure, through goes Ionescu, so they've got through those guys pretty easily, no problems whatsoever. So Jackson emerges in that his sixth position, in fact, because there's Stepnico. He's got ahead of Jackson in the pits there. So that's that going.
He made a really good strategy. He's now up into 8th.
Yeah, the Mahindra's done a good job there, considering he started on the back row of the grid. He's up in 8th place, so a brilliant race so far for Cesar Cohen Jr. in the Mahindra. He's now into the points, but he's got a whole host of cars right behind him that he's got to fend off from, so it's going to be interesting. But meanwhile, Kumar is still not pitting yet. I imagine he'll pit in around about the next lap or so. As Ionescu back onto Adventure now then, as their fight for the lead continues. And in fact, Ionescu thought about going to the inside there, but thought last minute better of it. So it looks like he's possibly going to have to wait for the pit straight once again. But he's once again trying to put Adventure under a lot of pressure. This will be the fight for the lead once Kumar makes his pit stop, of course, as they now make their way through into the right-hander now. Then up the hill they go towards the flat-out right-hander we go. As meanwhile, Cohen has actually now got away from that group, in fact, because they're too busy squabbling with each other. The two Andretti's and, of course, Dominic Ticelli, who's lost out quite a lot in the pit stop. And meanwhile, Ionescu now putting pressure on Adventure. Can he get the run on the Mercedes? This time by now, then, as they make their way out of the parabolic of Ayrton Senna. Onto the straight we go. Is Ionescu going to get the run this time on the Mercedes driver? He tried to go side by side, and it looks like he might actually get the momentum this time as they go side by side down towards the first corner. Is Ionescu going to get the place off Adventure this time by down the inside? And finally, he gets the move done. So Ionescu, once Kumar goes into the pits, Ionescu will take the lead here at Estoril.
Yeah, it really depends if Ionescu does a really good exit entry into curve 3. It looks like he's not, and now it looks like Daniel Adventure's not on the back of him again. So Daniel Adventure could re-overtake him unless he does not get frustrated by the enter parabolic here.
Indeed, could this be another Adventure Stepnica fight that we saw a little bit earlier on? This time Ionescu taking Stepnica's place. Adventure looking to the outside, can't get it done, but hits back onto the racing line to make sure he doesn't take that wider line through into the Parabolica interior there as they now make their way down towards the right-hander. I do believe that Kumar is pitting at the end of this lap, so we shall wait and see for him to come in. So that should mean that these two should assume the lead once again of this race, as now flat out through that right-hander we will go now. Then as Adventure still sticking with Ionescu at this point in time as I go through the S's. And yep, Kumar is now into the pits for his mandatory pit stop. And it looks like Ionescu, in fact, is starting to get away a bit from Adventure. He had much better traction through into the S's there. Adventure did not get the car hooked up pretty well for into there. And I wonder if Ionescu is now going to get away. In fact, I think he's just got enough of a gap to actually stay in front of Adventure down the straight. So he's done a good job there through into those section of corners as they now assume the lead now that Kumar's just made his pit stop. Where is Kumar, in fact, going to emerge after that pit stop? Razan is now onto the podium places, so a double podium for Mercedes could be on the cards here today. As meanwhile, Kochi Chiong fending off from Dicelli now then as they fight for 10th position. Dicelli on the inside and he grabs the final points place off of Kochi Chiong there into the first corner. But Ionescu now officially takes the lead of the race here at Lisbon, but he's still got Daniel Adventure breathing down his neck. So he might, if these two keep fighting, he might have two very hungry Mercedeses right behind. So Ionescu has got to keep his wits about him, given that he's still got the Mercedes right behind. Ionescu goes a little bit defensive just in case Adventure tries to do anything stupid through into that corner. So battle is on between those two now then as they make their way down towards that right-hander. 2.7 seconds Razan is behind these two at the moment, as now come out of that right-hander and up the hill they will soon go now then, as the gap is 0.5 seconds. Up the hill they go, as Adventure is now right back on the prow of Ionescu. This is where Adventure struggled on the previous lap, of course, but it looked like he might have got that hooked up pretty well this time by, and it looks like Adventure wants that lead back off of Robert Ionescu now then as they come out of the Parabolica now then. We will go as they're now onto the pit straight we go. Is Adventure going to try and retake the lead off of Robert Ionescu as they go side by side down towards that first corner now then. As they now make their way towards the first corner, has Adventure got enough momentum to get in front of the Audi into the first corner? Down the inside he goes, and yes he has. Adventure reclaims the lead from Robert Ionescu, but you know for a fact Ionescu is not going to take that one lying down and he'll try and fight back.
Yes. Yes, indeed, and Daniel Venture made a bit of a made his move a bit late into curve 3. So basically, I think whoever's in front of curve 3 is most likely to make a mistake. But Robert Ionescu is slowly whilst these two are battling with each other, Razin is slowly getting closer to these two. Here comes Robert Ionescu, trying to make sure he does not take the outside line. He doesn't, so these Razin is slowly catching up to these two.
0.6 now between the pair of them, so he did take a 10th whilst those two were fighting. Meanwhile, Jackson is all over the back of that is Jacob Stepnica as they have a fight for 4th position. Stepnica still yet to claim his first ever victory in the OC, despite the fact he came into this race leading the championship. Not sure what this is going to mean for the championship though after this race. We'll obviously look at that once the race comes to a conclusion, of course, a little bit later on, of course. But anyway, we are focusing now on this fight for the lead because it looks like once again Ionescu is going to attack Adventure for the lead of the race now. Then as they go down the pit straight now, then Ionescu back on the inside of the German drivers. They make their way down the straight line. They're on lap 25 of 32, so roughly around 9 laps to go in this race now. Then Ionescu on the inside, can he reclaim the lead? He does indeed. So Ionescu once again reclaims the lead off of Daniel Adventure. Can he pull away, or is Adventure going to respond? We shall wait and see when we go around next time by, as Jackson has still not been able to find a way through on Stepnica. Meanwhile, Kochi Cheong trying to attack Docelli for the final points place, not going to work out, and it looks like Adventure is going to attack. So I wonder if these two are going to play a bit of cat and mouse throughout these remaining laps here.
I can say for sure that I think Daniel Venture will try to find some sort of way to get past Robert Ionescu through into Parabolica. Doesn't make sure he does take the white line. Or he's taking the white line, so I think Robert Ionescu is taking a lot of seconds out of Daniel Venture. Yes. So I think that's the battle done. I think.
Last out, Adventure could catch back up, but clearly Ionescu playing a little bit of tactics there with that wider line to try and build a gap to make sure he doesn't come under pressure down that straight. So he has got a bit of a gap now to Adventure as a result. Looked like Kochi Chion there made a bit of an error through into there, but he's now got the gap up to 1.4 seconds. But will Adventure try and close that gap back up? We shall wait and see. But Ionescu has now got a little bit of breathing space on that Mercedes as Razan tries to close on his own teammate. Meanwhile, we look at the other Audi of Brandon Jackson, who tries to catch up to Jacob Stepnica coming out of that Parabolica now then. Heading down the pit straight we go. Is Jackson going to claim 4th from Jacob Stepnica now then as they go side by side down towards the first corner? It would mean that the Audis and the Mercedes would occupy the top 4 if he can get by. Jackson on the inside of the Jaguar into the first corner, and he's got the move done. Jackson up into 4th place, but now he's got to really find 3.6 seconds in hand if he wants to get a podium here today, as Ionescu tries to ensure that that gap stays the same between himself and Adventure in this race now then. As we look now at Kumar, who's actually going to be coming under pressure from Cesar Cohen Jr. I never thought I'd actually say that a Group 1 car could come under pressure from a Group 3 Mahindra today. Cohen, thanks to that strategy that Blake pointed out earlier on, he's having an amazing race here at Estoril and could be looking at some points here today.
Yes, that was an absolute master show by Mahindra, but it really depends on Cesar Cohen Jr.'s driving style. He's actually doing a really good job. Just casually putting a Class 3 car against a Class 1 car. So I think Cohen Jr. could have a really good advantage down the main straight. I think Razin's on the back of Adventure. I think
there could be a Mercedes fight, and well, not quite, but he is definitely getting close to Adventure. Adventure doing all he can to catch back up to Robert Ionescu. I'm not sure what the gap is like. It's actually gone up to 1.5. So in fact, no, 1.3, sorry. So it's kind of going up and down at the moment between those two. As Razin sets the fastest lap of 122.171. So Razin currently holding on to the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the races. Meanwhile, Cohen, back to this battle for 7th, is on the inside of Jaswant Kumar. Is Kumar going to lose a place to the Group 3 Mahindra as they go side by side down towards the first corner? No, not quite. Cohen not able to get the move done just yet on the Jaguar driver. He's trying to put in the pressure. And now the 2 Mercedes are into combat here, Blake.
Yeah, Yeah, it really depends on the team. It really depends if Adventure is willing to let Razan by. But looks like but if these two continue fighting, I think Robert Ionescu is more likely to win the race, and I think this is more defensive. Crikey!
Yes, indeed. That was very close indeed between the two Mercedes there, and I think everybody at Mercedes are hoping those two don't come together. Meanwhile, Cohen tries to look on the inside into the first Parabolica. Didn't quite work out, but it looks like he really wants that 7th place off of Jaswant Kumar there, who's going to be losing points to Stepnika the way things stay as they are at the moment. Just trying to have a look around in the championship what this can mean. In fact, I think Stepnika would still lead the championship. I think he'd still lead it, but I think it's going to close up a lot in the championship. I think Ionescu is going to definitely close up in the championship as well, thanks to him leading the race, and I think Adventure and Co will also. But back to the Mercedes battle as we've got 5 laps to go here at Estoril, as now Razin looks to the inside of Daniel Adventure, heading into the first corner now. Then the two Mercedes fight for 2nd place. Down the inside goes Razan. Has he got the move done on his own teammate around turn 2? We will go now then, as Razan got the place, and he most certainly has. Razan up into 2nd place. Now can he try and catch up to Ionescu, or will he have to worry about Adventure once again? Because we saw this with Adventure earlier on with Ionescu and Stepnika. Could Adventure still fight it out, and could that cause a little bit of worry with the Mercedes camp, given that, well, there is a chance they could take each other out if they battle a little bit too hard with each other. As now, let's see if Adventure is going to try and have a go. He's going to stick with Razan as they make the way towards the first Parabolica. Adventure looks to the outside, can't get it done, but make sure he gets back onto the racing line to make sure he doesn't take that very slippy wide line out of the first Parabolica there, the interior Parabolica as we call it. As Razan, in fact, might be starting to gap Adventure here, but we'll wait and see if that's still the case when they come around the S's. As now, coming towards the uphill section now, then we will go, and he looks has pulled a gap indeed, so Adventure just doesn't have the pace to Razan. So could Razan perhaps get some pace on Robert Ionescu? The gap is 2 seconds between the pair of them at this stage, so that's one to keep an eye on, that is for sure. Meanwhile, Kumar has now lost the place to Cohen. Cohen has got up into 7th place, unseen by the cameras, so the Mahindra is up to 7th, but Kumar wants that place back. We've got 4 laps to go here at Estoril for Robert Ionescu to potentially hold on, as Jackson now sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:22.072, so he now holds on to the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race, as now Kumar tries to claim 7th place back off Cesar Cohen Jr. as they now make their way down towards the first couple of corners. The Indian on the inside, he goes down the inside, and that's P7 with ease. So Kumar back up to 7th place as the Andretti just behind wants to try and claim full advantage at Koenig. As we look at the order, Cohen gaining 13 places from the back row, so he's done a fantastic job today. 9 places for Coach Chun Cheong. He's up in 6th place. He's having a great race. 5 places for Ionescu, 3 for Razan. 2 for Koenig, lost 2 places for Jackson, lost 4 places for Stepnika, lost 3 for Kumar, lost 1 for Ticelli, and Adventure has stayed the same where he was on the grid at the moment, although I do think he would have wanted to try and win this race today, if possible. Meanwhile, Cohen is still not given up on Jaswant Kumar here, as they now go around the left-hander. Of course, I think Kumar, of course, I think it was at this team he raced at. No, it was Neo. I got that mixed up there, and the Mahindra and the Neos there. I do apologise. But anyway, I think when Kumar joined Jaguar, I don't think he was expecting to be fighting with Group 3 cars at all during a season. And, well, he's got a Group 3 car breathing down his neck, and even a Group 2 car is one in the form of Marvo Koenig. So now, through the left-hander we go, as Robert Ionescu will start lap 30 of the race, so 3 laps to go for the remaining driver, as it's not showing us the gap rudely, it's only showing us the pit, showing us that everybody has made a pit stop in the field. So, anyways, now Cesar Cohen Jr. once again trying to attack Jaswant Kumar now, then as they make their way onto the pit straight. Meanwhile, just behind we could see that is Ticelli trying to attack Koenig for 9th place. Down the inside goes Cohen. Can he get 7th place off of Kumar now? Then he tries to have a go through the turn 2, doesn't work out, but meanwhile Ticelli tries to have a go at Koenig there, doesn't work out. Koenig now all over the back of Cohen as they make their way through into that corner. 1.4 seconds is the gap, so Razin is gaining, but is he gaining enough to get a hold of Ionescu? I'm not sure. It might even come down to a final lap first showdown if Razin can keep this up. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Jackson is closing onto Daniel Adventure, so he could set a podium in this race. This race is not over just yet, folks. This is getting very, very intense, and these remaining 2 and a bit laps here at Estoril, as now they come towards the left-hander now on the racetrack. Cohen doing all he can to get by on Jaswant Kumar's Jaguar, as they now come out of the turn, using all the curb on the outside, as they now make their way in towards that final corner, as well, not the final corner, sorry, Ticelli doing all he can to get by on Koenig, but can't get it done. Ionescu will start the penultimate lap of the race very, very soon now then. as they go up the hill, through into the right-hander now, then we go through the S's now then, and now into the penultimate turn goes this battle as Ionescu starts the penultimate lap, 2 laps to go to try and keep Razin back, as now coming around that final corner, we will go now then, as it looks like Dicelli will once again try and have a go at Koenig as best as possible, as now heading down the pit straight now, then we will go as they go side by side down towards that first corner. Kumar on the inside now, then we go. Has he got the move done? Down the inside he goes. No, he can't. 1 second is the gap between the top two, and it's getting very close. It could come down to a final lap showdown if Razin can get close enough on that pit straight, as there they are. They're the top two. Ionescu got it up to 1.1 that time by. Ionescu just needs to keep this up if he wants to take his first victory of the season and get himself right back in the championship fight. Dicelli, meanwhile, has overtaken Koenig, and he's up into 9th position, so 2 championship points for the Italian at the moment, as we focus our attention to the front lot. 1.1 seconds of the gap, but so far, Blake, I'd say that Ionescu might actually have this covered at the moment.
Yeah, it really depends. It really depends if Robert makes a mistake or not on his final couple of laps. And meanwhile, so Cesar Cohen Jr., I can't believe I'm saying this, he's in 8th place, battling with a Group 1 car, but Razin is still just trying everything he can to catch up to Robert Ionescu. But at the moment, I think this is Robert's victory to lose.
Well, let's wait and see. In fact, as Ionescu now starts the final lap of the race here at Estoril, as Razin has got the gap down to under a second now. 8 tenths is the gap between them, as now that may have been the only chance, of course, unless Razin is very risky to try and go for a move somewhere else. But meanwhile, Dicelli is now on the back of Cesar Cohen Jr. Cohen, in fact, is once again having a go at Kumar for 7th place as they make their way down towards the first couple of corners on the racetrack. Dicelli looks on to see if he can try and pass Cohen on the inside of Kumar. Can he get 7th place from the Indian driver? No, he can't. Kumar once again fending off 7th place for the time being. Razin now 9 tenths behind, but as you mentioned, I think Ionescu might just do enough to hold on to the place. Maybe a couple of more laps, then Razin could have potentially have had a chance to get the win off Ionescu, but that's racing, I'm afraid, and as long as Ionescu can keep this up, he is finally going to get a victory in 2022. He said before this weekend he was desperate to get back in the title fight. He was desperate for a victory, and it's definitely clear that that speech has definitely kicked a load of adrenaline in his system, because he has had a fantastic race from 6th on the grid. Despite dropping down to 7th at the start, he was able to gain the places back, really tactically took his time, given how much of a slipstream fest this track is, and Ionescu has taken full advantage as he now comes around the final corner. The 32nd and final time, and after what has been an amazing drive for the Romanian, he's going to get himself back in the title fight, and down the pit straight, it is going to be Robert Ionescu who wins the Lisbon ePrix here at Estoril. What a race we have had here at Estoril today, as Jackson just misses out on a podium adventure, finishes in 3rd, Stepnika in 5th, Kuchon Cheong in 6th, with Kumar just holding on to 7th place despite Cohen's best attempt. He finishes in 8th, Dicelli 9th, Koenig rounds out the points in 10th, but my oh my, what a race we have had here in Estoril.
Yeah, Estoril never disappoints with a good race for Formula E. That was an absolute brilliant race.
Yep, indeed, and well, no wonder we like coming here for Formula E. This is just an absolutely amazing track for these guys. We're going to flag into the first corner. In fact, as Cohen has actually crashed on the slowdown lap, but luckily he's crossed the line anyway, so it's not going to matter too much. But yeah, clearly some drama at the end of the race. Dumal is going to cross the line in 19th position. It's not been a good race for Virgin. Choi with her mechanical problems, what might have been for her, she could have potentially have got points today, but once again, bad luck striking the South Korean driver. But victory goes to Robert Ionescu here at Estoril, and he is absolutely ecstatic in that Audi. He wanted to win this weekend, he had to win, and he's done exactly what he aimed for. A brilliant, brilliant race from the Romanian driver. So let's have a look at the full race results here at Estoril. Robert Ionescu wins the race from Mohamed Razan in 2nd. Daniel Adventure finishes in 3rd, with Brandon Jackson 4th. Jacob Stepnika is in 5th, with Coach Cheong in 6th. Jaswant Kumar 7th. Cesar Cohen Jr. is in 8th, with Dominic Dicelli in 9th. Marvo Koenig completes the points in 10th position, followed by Kochi Cheong in 11th, and you could do the rest, Blake.
Thank you. Bartosz Bracki in P12, Leighton Aviard in P13, Ian Carpenter in P14, Hyman Graham in P15, 16th, Shana Troy, P17 is Jacob Tobler, and Wait, I forgot Villeneuve. Sorry. Villeneuve in 17th, Jacob Tobler in P18, and Rafael Demel in 19th. I'm going to do the DNS, which are Ross Denholm, Cass Morgan, and Nguyen Minh Quan, who are out of the race.
And Brandon Jackson got the fastest lap of the race, only by 2 thousandths ahead of Sana Choi, so it shows the pace that Choi had today. But either way, Jackson is going to pick up the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race, along with the 12 points that he gets for 4th position. But there you have it then. That has been it from the Lisbon ePrix. A week later than planned, but I guess it was worth the wait in the end, given the race that we've had today here at Estoril. But a fantastic race nonetheless. I hope you have enjoyed it as well. The next Formula E race will be in 2 weeks' time, which will be at the Motorland Aragon circuit for the Estoril ePrix, the 4th to last race of the season. And of course, Denholm will have to serve a 5-place grid penalty there in 2 weeks' time, so be aware of that. Of course, tomorrow, obviously, we're not done with live streams just yet, because coming up at 7 p.m. BST, we of course have the Formula 2 qualifying session over at Silverstone, so do look forward to that. Of course, we have the top class this week as well at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, so do look forward to that. No TTM this week, that will be back next weekend due to Flo having something going on at the weekend. But yeah, of course, next Monday we'll have World Champ Car over at Silverstone, so do look forward to that. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed, so thank you all for watching. I've been JW97, he's been Blake Moore, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.